really appreciate you taking the time to be a candidate, number one, and serving the public, and we want to express our thanks for accepting the invitation to the vetting system for Cherokee County Republican Party, and particularly to benefit the voters. Like I mentioned before, this vetting process will be placed on the website for Cherokee County Republican Party. The process is meant to allow members of the party and the community to be able to understand the positions, views, and beliefs of the issues and questions held by those who wish to be elected as a representative of the people. And that's what this is all about today. We have a series of several questions, and some of them are two-part questions. And what we do is each member goes around the table and asks a question. There's no particular order or anything. Okay. First of all, I'm Lori Custa, chairman of the vetting committee, and each person will introduce themselves now.
I'm Bill Durrell.
Nice to meet you.
Trent Adams.
Nice to see
Jack
you.
Haber.
Harry Abrams.
Nice to see you. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get started with the first question, and Bill, you want to go ahead and start?
Meagan, welcome. Can you give us your full name and legal residence and how long you resided in Cherokee County and in the district?
Yes, my Meagan Christina Biello, and I'm formerly a Wilbur, my maiden name, and I'm full mailing address, you said?
And just your legal residence.
Legal residence is in Ball Ground, 220 River Run Drive. And I have lived here 32 years now, 32 years in 1 week. And I've lived in the district, 9.5 years.
Okay.
Thank you. Trenton?
Are you currently a member of the Cherokee County Republican Party, and how do you see your involvement going forward regardless of the outcome of the election?
Yes, I am, and I'm excited. I want to become more actively involved. I think it's a great organization, and so far, it's been a wonderful learning experience, so I'm excited. I think it's great.
Please describe 3 pieces of legislation you'd like to see passed in your first term, whether creating law or removing or amending existing law.
Okay. If I had to pick 3 things that I would like to either see removed, passed, or whatnot, I'd like to see some sort of modification to how we get students through school, as far as alternative career options for them. We know not everyone's college prep material, so something that focuses on that and enables teachers and schools and districts to better educate and prepare students. And then I'd like to see the repeal of the income tax. And if I had to pick a third thing, I would say that one of the things I also think is very important is strengthening or making sure that they're not in jeopardy our standard ground laws in the state of Georgia. So I value those. I think they're important to our civil liberties, rights as individuals.
Okay, thank you.
What state house committees would you like to serve on? And what do you think are the most important issues that those committees would add for the coming year?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because someone asked me one time if I wanted to be, if I'd want to be on the education committee, and of course I think I would. I think I have a lot to offer, but I'd also be more than willing to serve on any committee where there was a need and learn about the issues, whether that's transportation or anything like that. But I would be most interested in being on an education committee, or economic development committee. My background, my degree's in economics. I have an interest in it, and I get it, I guess, if you would say that. I understand it, and I think that would be really, I would serve well in those positions.
Okay.
Meagan, what characteristics and qualities do you believe are important for the State House of Representatives to possess?
I think someone who's a good listener is critical, because we're there not to lead but to serve. We need to be listening to our constituents and listening to what the people of Cherokee County want, and going and carrying out their wishes there.
Okay. Thank you.
Based on your understanding of the Georgia Constitution, what do you believe the role of a state representative should be?
Kind of to reiterate my point, of course, I think we need to be fiscally responsible, and we need to be stewards of the people. But I think my role is definitely, a public servant. That's what this position was created for, and I think that's been lost.
Okay.
What is your position on the bill to make certain offices, sheriff, district attorney, county commissioners, court clerk, nonpartisan?
That's interesting. Well, I grew up in Cherokee County. I've lived here my whole life, so I can't imagine other people in those positions. But I don't know enough about that. I don't think it's a good idea just because it might allow some wavering of candidates. You know, if someone has a party that you know, you understand the party, you understand their values, you're able to identify with them a little bit easier.
Okay, thank you. No? Or Harry, excuse me.
Yeah, what is your position on term limits?
Term limits, I think I'm in favor of them. I definitely would say I don't, I know there's two sides to this issue. Someone says, what if you get someone really great in there and you don't want them to leave? So I think term limits, they kind of take away a little bit of the power of the people. So where I would say I'm in favor, given our current state of government, I would say I'm in favor of them, but then on the other hand, I think, you know, it's the power of the people to decide who they want in government. If there's someone there that they like and who's doing a good job, I don't know why we would take that right away from the people to continue to vote them in.
Meagan, this is a three-parter. What is the purpose of the Second Amendment? Do you believe that federal gun control laws are constitutional? And does the state have the right to confiscate firearms in an emergency?
Okay, the first part, the Second Amendment is the people's right to bear arms.
Okay.
And the second part,
Do
Federal-
you believe
yeah.
that federal gun
No.
control laws are constitutional?
no.
Okay.
And the third part,
And-
no, absolutely not.
Okay.
I think that in time of emergency, that may be when we need them most. And it's scary to think that, you know, I teach history also on top of teaching economics, and so we talk about when Lincoln suspended the writ of habeas corpus and how, you know, it's an outrage that people were held without being charged with a crime. That to think the government can have that type of power, to me as a citizen, is scary. So I don't
Okay.
think they should be able to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next part?
What is your opinion of the constitutional carry proposal, and how do you feel about the current limitations on carry, such as on campuses and churches?
I think that if someone is a law-abiding citizen, I don't know why we would infringe upon their rights to carry. I know, I don't come from, but my husband's family is a family of police officers, and, you know, I value their opinions very much, and if they believe that law-abiding citizens should be able to, you know, carry weapons, I tend to agree with that, just because if we, the more limitations we place on the individual, the less freedom, the less liberty, you know, that we have, and we start down that slippery slope. So I don't believe they should be limited as much as they are. I know.
It's okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know there are certain circumstances, you know, because I know the debate was for teachers to be able to carry guns at school, and I know that, to me, that's getting into a different area. You know, you want people who are properly trained and stuff like that, especially where kids have access to that. But individuals who are, you know, following the law and doing what they're supposed to do, I don't see any reason for limiting their freedoms.
Okay.
What's the 10th Amendment mean to you? Do you believe that states have the right to nullify unconstitutional federal laws?
I do. I believe that states, the 10th Amendment gives them that right, that any power not granted to the federal government is reserved for the states. And so if just like any right not granted to the federal government is reserved for the people, you know, the 9th and 10th Amendments to me are the two most important amendments we have, and two of the most important, I should say. But they tell us what we need to be doing at the state level, and we need to be paying closer attention, and we need to be exercising the rights that we do have under the Constitution.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any conditions under which you would advocate either raising taxes or implementing new taxes?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, moving on.
Okay. Meagan, what is the state of Georgia's role in immigration, securing the border, and amnesty?
I guess this would fall under that 10th Amendment clause there. I don't know that the state of Georgia, I mean, I think we should enforce the laws that are already in place, absolutely. I think states have definitely fallen short of enforcing the laws that are already there, which has led to problems that we're having today. So I think enforcement is key. And then if anything were to happen where we had amnesty or something like that, that may be another issue that we look at in the future.
Thank you.
What is your position on food insecure programs and how drug testing relates to those programs?
Yeah, I think if you're receiving a transfer payment from the government, you should be subject to drug testing. I think it's fair that people who are working to provide that to you be, able to rest easy that it's not going to feed bad habits. Okay.
What is your position on the Affordable Care Act?
I don't like it. Is that an official position? I have seen, and because of my understanding of economics, I have seen individually my costs go up, so I don't support that at all. I haven't heard of anyone yet who says that, their costs associated with health insurance or healthcare have gone down, so I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to any extra government interference in a market beyond, the necessary regulation.
When was the government allowed to take actions inconsistent with, meaning against the Constitution?
Will you ask that again? I'm sorry.
When is the government allowed to take actions inconsistent with the Constitution?
I'm not sure I can think of an instance that I think is an excuse to go against the Constitution. You've stumped me.
That's an answer.
Okay.
There is no right or wrong question.
Okay,
Yeah,
I really can't think of any for that, because I believe in the Constitution. I believe it's solid. I've been teaching it for 6 years now, and it's one of the units I spend the longest on. I think it's important that people understand it.
Thank you.
Meagan, what is the unemployment rate in your district?
I believe, okay, I've been looking at a lot of numbers. I want to say it's just over 7%, but I could be thinking, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not exactly sure because I've been looking at so much stuff lately. Can you help me out? No, I think, I believe it's either just over 7%. I'm gonna go.
That's fine, if that's the
Yeah,
answer, that's
I
fine.
think that, of course, we talk about in economics, the acceptable rate of unemployment being around 5%, so I would like to see it lower. Whatever it is, I know it's not where it needs to be. So pretty much everything I've seen the last few weeks, months, years, it's not where it needs to be. So.
Okay, thank you. Trent?
Do you accept donations from outside of your district? And if so, how do outside district donations affect your decision making?
Well, the only donations I've accepted outside my district are family, my uncle in Texas who's super proud of me for doing this, my best friend who lives in Connecticut who also is just, being a moral supporter. Really, her husband is running for town council up there, so she understands the expense associated with it. But other than that, I have no plans on accepting any donations. That just kind of fell into place there. So.
Okay, Jack, this one kind of follows up with that.
Yeah, are you receiving PAC or lobbyist contributions? If so, how will your decision-making process be affected by lobbyist or PAC money?
I am not. And I've thought a lot about this because I know it's kind of a new, or maybe not new, but a renewal of people pledging not to receive money from them because we all know special interest has kind of gotten their hooks in government. And so I don't plan to, if I can avoid it at all costs. We're running a super low budget campaign because, there's just certain things I'm not gonna give on.
Okay, thank you.
Please describe the geographic boundaries of your district and how much of your district includes Cherokee County.
Well, the geographic boundaries look like a bunch of fingers on the hand, no, kind of goes every which way. I know, it's funny being a teacher, I know that my district matches up almost exactly with the Creek View Zone, all of our feeder schools, so Ball Ground, Free Home, Macedonia, and then I think about 85% of the district is Cherokee County. Roughly 10% of the district is the southwest corner of Forsyth County, including Midway, Polo Fields, Brandywine. And then about maybe 5% of the district is the city of Milton, 1.5 precincts there. So down Birmingham Highway.
Okay.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, Megan, for solutions to the traffic and other infrastructure issues, do you support the regional approach, such as the Atlanta Regional Commission, or another method of dealing with these issues?
That's something that I'm still researching, and that was asked of me previously, and I'm still trying to read about it. I don't know, as far as like definitively what I could support or what I would support, because I don't know enough about it. I know, if I could make another comparison, you know, education, where we have these funds that go to other counties, I'm not sure that I'm in support of that in any way, shape, or form. You know, I like to think that we've worked really hard to make Cherokee County what it is, and I like to see our funds benefit our people, so.
Okay, thank you.
What should the state's role be in regards to alternative energy sources or subsidies?
I think if alternative energy is gonna take off, it's gonna be by private enterprise. The same reason the iPods are so popular. You know, a company figured out how to make it profitable. And so I don't necessarily believe the state has an active role in that, beyond, I understand, you know, regulating and kind of keeping it so that monopolies can't develop, you know, but other than that, I think if it's gonna take off and it's gonna be successful and it's gonna really benefit consumers, it's gonna come from the private sector.
Okay.
There are a number of issues the agriculture industry is facing in Georgia, including water use, state and federal regulation compliance, tax reform, and immigration. What is your plan to address these issues for the agriculture community in Georgia, Cherokee County?
Cherokee County.
Cherokee County.
Okay, this would be another one that I would like to read more about, just because I haven't been actively engaged in that discussion. But I would, will you repeat the first part of the question? Sorry, something was.
First part said there's a number of issues the agricultural industry is facing in Georgia, including water use,
Okay,
state and federal regulations,
gotcha.
compliance, tax reform, and immigration.
Okay, so of course, any tax reform I support would be something that would benefit local business, you know, attract local businesses to the area. And then regulation, as far as agriculture is concerned, I know one of the topics is, you know, about letting sometimes I think government makes decisions because I think consumers are too stupid to investigate stuff on their own, you know. So, I think we need to encourage an educated population rather than increasing regulation. But I would like to read more about that and understanding issues, because that's just not something I've been a part of.
What is your opinion on the Common Core State Standards Initiative?
Well, Common Core is, Common Core? I know it's very controversial. As a teacher, will tell you, and I know I'm in social studies, I'm not in math, I'm not in some of the core content areas affected directly by this. So it hasn't changed the way I've taught over the last 8 years. I get to develop my own lesson plans, I get to research supplementary materials that I want to use and come up with activities, and everything I'm doing in the classroom is the same that I've been doing, and it's based on best practices and all that. And I've always had really good test scores, if that's what we're looking at, you know, good student engagement. But do I see value somewhere in saying that someone who moves to my classroom from Minnesota in March and has to take the same EOCT that my kids who've been in my classroom all year are taking in May, would I like to know they came from a US history class in Minnesota? Yeah, I would. Because that I'm gonna be judged on that score that they get. And I've got 2 months to teach them what I've taught everyone else in 8 months. So consistency, I think, is okay. I think, there's nothing wrong with that. And then again, if we were to scrap it and start all over, we talk about wasteful spending. It would be cost prohibitive to start from scratch again, or to try and change it again. That's
Just for the record, what grade do you teach?
I teach 12th grade advanced placement economics, microeconomics. I'm hoping to teach both micro and macro next year. And I also teach 12th grade sociology, 11th grade honors US history, and I teach one 12th grade regular economics class.
Okay, thank you.
And I've taught world history and all sorts of stuff.
Next
Great,
question.
thank you. Meagan, what are your most important interests outside of your current work?
Outside of my current work, I have, when you're a school teacher, you don't have a lot of time outside of your current work. So I coach cheerleading and get the cheerleaders involved in Bible studies and FCA and volunteering. They've gone to places around Cherokee County and baked cookies with the kids, or, donated food items, donated clothing items. We're also involved at our church, and where my children go to Sunday school, and we attend pretty regularly. I bake as a hobby, and so my family, my children, and my husband, we all like to bake. So they're pretty well equipped at that. My son at his book fair, you send them to school with a check, and you think they're gonna buy whatever, Captain Underpants and whatever else is popular. And my son came home 2 years in a row with baking books for mom. So a pizza baking book and a cookie baking book. And so, hey, but we love it. That's our family time together. And we love to, I like to travel. And being a teacher kind of affords me that opportunity. Took my children on a 2,700-mile road trip this summer. So they got to see, my 4-year-old was so cute. He's like, Mom, we are in New York City. I was like, I know. So it's fun.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you work with those across the aisle to pass a budget?
Absolutely. If I thought the budget was, a good one. Yeah.
Do you support the fair tax or consumption tax or some other alternative?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. My dad got me I can't remember how old I was. I think I was still in college, and we went to a couple of the fair tax rallies, and it was like reinvigorating for me, because I didn't grow up actively involved in politics or anything like that. But going to that and listening, being an econ major, listening to that stuff, it was like, this really makes sense.
Okay, thank you again. We're almost finished here. I want to thank you again for participating in this voter job interview, basically. We have a couple questions in reference to finances and so on, and this will be a little bit different than asking the questions prior to your visit. Typically, the candidate is a male. Today, anyhow. You are a female and married with children, so the questions may be a little bit different for you. I just want to make sure that you are fully clear on where we're coming from. Have you ever had any license revoked or not renewed for cause, or been the subject of professional discipline, or cited for breach of ethics or unprofessional conduct by association, disciplinary committee, court, administrative agency, or other professional group? Or have you been expelled from any organization, and if so, please explain.
No.
Okay. Have you or has any organization or business under your control ever declared bankruptcy, or been sued, or currently facing liens or other financial issues?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of any crime excluding minor traffic issues?
No.
Okay. And please describe one instance in which you faced an ethical dilemma and how you resolved it.
Wow. I don't want to say I've never faced an ethical dilemma, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Nothing personally. Maybe what to do with, okay, here's a good one. when I was in high school, we had caught wind that some teachers were doing some things that were inappropriate. So and one of them happened to be my cheerleading coach. So we just went to him and said, this is what's going on, you know, is it true? And I say we, my friend and I, you know, when you're in high school, it's a lot difficult to, you know, go to someone one-on-one. But, you know, he told us nothing was going on, but we kind of talked about it, and she went and, you know, followed all the proper channels to, we weren't gonna cover up for him. We wanted to make sure that people knew we knew, and, you know, eventually it all came out like after we were gone. Cause I know, I guess stuff like that takes time.
Okay, thank you. Are you currently connected to any outstanding unpaid taxes in any way?
No.
Okay. And the last question, we try to give you, not a question, but we try to give you a few minutes on your own to express anything else we should know about you that we haven't addressed here tonight for the voters.
Well, I think I'm a great candidate because I'm different, and I know people say that government is so status quo that, you know, if you want change, you have to vote for change. And I think she said it, I'm female. But I have a different background than a lot of people who are in politics, and I think that background will contribute to, you know, good service. That being a teacher is like public service, but also I understand a lot of the other things. I have a business degree. I've, you know, studied economics. I've studied political science, and I taught it. You know, I like to think I've done the Lord's work the last few years, and I continue to think that everything I'm doing is because I'm being called to do it, and I really do think I can make a difference and enact some change.
Great. Thank you very much for